I understand you have spared the Grey Wardens from destroying what goodwill was left them. 'Tis good of you, considering the weakness Corypheus exploited was their own doing. Still, should a true archdemon one day arise, they will no doubt be needed. Or so they would have us believe.
Now that you've seen the Inquisition up close, what are your impressions?
'Tis remarkable what you have built. I will give you that. A web of favors has wrapped every noble family in southern Thedas around your fingers. All this in precious little time, conjured from thin air through the power of fervor alone. I wonder if Corypheus suspected what he was enabling, just as I wonder what will become of all this once he is defeated.
We have to defeat him first. Then I'll worry about what's next.
Should that happen, the world will lie at your feet, more or less. Beware the heights you reach, Inquisitor. When this is done, many will be eager to knock you back down.
I'd like to know more about you.
Ah yes, whence comes the mystery woman slinking her way into the Inquisition's ranks? Once I was an apostate, living well away from the banal influence of the Chantry in the Kukari Wilds. Then came the Fifth Blight with its darkspawn, and I left Ferelden for the Empress's court. 'Tis certain the nobles of Orlais breathe a collective sigh of relief that I am now here.
It's odd that an apostate could live so openly.
It confuses those who expect apostates to cower and hide. I stand boldly before them and demand to know why I need some Chantry mage to teach me to control my power. They would put me on a leash so they can feel safer at night. I am uninterested in their comfort. Naturally, it helps to have friends in high places.
You were in Ferelden during the Blight.
The Blight began in the Kukari Wilds, so yes, I experienced it firsthand. Indeed, I fought at the hero of Ferelden's side for a time. She is the reason the Blight was defeated. We did not part on good terms. I regret a great deal, but that, most of all. And after that, I came to Orlais. The last place one would look for me, or such was my hope.
The Orlesian court seems like an odd place to find someone like you.
That was the point, originally. I knew the Empress was intrigued by the arcane, and that I could answer questions no Chantry mage could. Thus, we fit together nicely. I became her advisor, and she my benefactor and source of refuge. Truth be told, our arrangement would not have lasted much longer. Too many wagging tongues, even for Celine. I imagine your forces will be heading into the Arbor Wilds very soon, Inquisitor. Trust me when I say that wherever the Alluvian is hidden, it is worth any effort to prevent Corypheus from acquiring it.
What work have you been doing to help us?
Currently, my efforts are focused on determining what Corypheus is, and from where his power comes. The elven orb he carries is what draws my attention. I wonder if the power he used to tear open the Fade, in fact, came from the orb. Perhaps it is even the source of your anchor. If I learn of its origin, I may also learn what Corypheus now intends, as well as his weaknesses.
Do you know anything about his dragon?
It has the appearance of an archdemon. Of that, I am certain. A true archdemon, however, is supposedly the corrupted form of an old god. Has Corypheus actually dug up one of the ancient prisons? If so, why has a new blight not begun? His dragon is something else, something connected to his blighted nature as well as his magic. Beyond that, I cannot say.
I could use your company for my excursions outside Skyhold.
I have spent my share of time wandering the wilderness in the company of others, Inquisitor. Thank you for the invitation, but for now I will restrict my efforts to researching the arcane.
Is it even possible that Corypheus could succeed?
The Black City exists. Wherever one goes in the Fade, it is visible in the sky. The last time Corypheus and his cohort stormed its doors, they unleashed the Blight upon the world. This time, perhaps he might indeed gain untold power, becoming something unto a god. It is also possible he could unleash something far worse than the Blights. So yes, Corypheus could succeed in his goal. If not, his attempt alone could destroy the world.
Corypheus says I'm a rival. Does that mean...
Could you become a god? That depends. Are you prepared to use your anchor to enter the Black City?
I wouldn't know how, if that's even possible.
Perhaps Corypheus fears the moment when you learn.
However you can help, it's appreciated.
Continue prodding at Corypheus, Inquisitor. Elicit a reaction, and we may yet learn from it.
I'd be interested in hearing your opinions on elven culture.
Perhaps you could ask Sarah. She has... opinions.
You don't much care for Sarah, do you?
I pity her. Although I imagine she would detest that. Perhaps in truth, I envy her. She has a purity of purpose that I lack. I have observed too much and done too little. What do you wish to know?
I'd like to know more about the Dalish elves.
It is a mistake to think of the Dalish as a single group. They have lived as separate clans for centuries now. As a consequence, each clan has learned, interpreted, and forgotten different parts of elven history. Some trade freely with humans, or adopt city elves who flee the alienages. Others attack humans on sight.
What can you tell me about elves living in human cities?
The culture in alienages or among the slaves of Tevinter is like any of the impoverished and powerless. They cling to memories of a better past, and practice a few rituals to distinguish themselves from humans.
I'd like to know more about the elves from before our time.
The Dalish strive to remember Hallam Shiral, but Hallam Shiral was merely a fumbling attempt to recreate a forgotten land.
Arlathan.
Elvanan was the empire, and Arlathan its greatest city. Place of magic and beauty, lost to time.
You've studied ancient elves. What else do you know of Arlathan?
We hear stories of them living in trees, and imagine wooden ramps or Dalish Erebels. Imagine instead spires of crystal twining through the branches, palaces floating among the clouds. Imagine beings who lived forever, for whom magic was as natural as breathing. That is what was lost.
Is elven magic different from the magic used by humans?
No and yes. Magic is magic, just as water is water, but it can be used in different ways. Dalish magic is more practical, not needing chantry approval, although they still frown on blood magic. Superstition. Much of it is more subtle. A legacy from when elves were immortal.
The legends of elven immortality. Did they use magic to increase their lifespan?
No. It was simply part of being elven. The subtle beauty of their magic was the effect, not the cause of their nature. Some spells took years to cast. Echoes would linger for centuries, harmonizing with new magic in an unending symphony. It must have been beautiful.
You said that the censure against blood magic was a superstition.
I did. It's fortunate Cassandra is not within earshot. Most modern cultures forbid blood magic. Publicly, even Tevinter disapproves of it. But as I said, magic is magic. It matters only in how it is used.
Every time I've seen blood magic used, it's been for some evil purpose.
I once saw a woman stabbed in the stomach with a dagger. She died slowly, in agony. It was repulsive. If the Chantry outlawed daggers, would that stop people from using them? Of course not. Some would use daggers in secret, ashamed, and some would find rebellion titillating, step down the path of depravity.
You don't need to sacrifice a slave's life to make a dagger.
I suppose it depends upon the dagger. How many men have you killed while fighting for the Inquisition? How many more will you kill out of necessity? And if blood magic could help you? Well, it matters little to me. I do not use it, but I do not think it evil.
Who were you before this mess?
I was a captain in the Orlesian army. Well regarded, respected. But it wasn't enough. One mistake. One mistake and everything I worked for fell apart.
The man on the gallows, Mornay. Who was he?
My second in command. He was a good man. When I heard he'd been caught, I was resolved to stop his execution. Couldn't let another die for my mistake.
I need to know about Blackwall. The real Blackwall.
We met in a tavern when I was on the run. I was nothing, a waste of life, but he wanted to recruit me. We headed to Valshavan for the joining. But Blackwall insisted on making a stop along the way. An old ruin from one of the previous blights. He said it led to the deep roads. I was to go down alone, find a dark spawn, and fill a vial with its blood. When I returned, I found the warden ambushed by more of the creatures. He took a blow for me. He shouldn't have died. It should have been me.
We went there, where you were ambushed. We retrieved your badge. It was never really yours, was it?
No. It belonged to him. I was going to tell you the truth. When we went there, I wanted to explain why I couldn't be with you. But you found Blackwall's badge and I lost my nerve. You wanted me to be him. I wanted to be him. To even imagine that I could replace that man.
Not saying I disagree, but Blackwall clearly thought you were worth saving.
No one should have died for me. He would have wanted me to carry on to Valshavan, I'm certain. But without Blackwall, there was no proof that I'd been recruited. That I didn't kill him. I couldn't go to the Wardens. But I couldn't just walk away. So, Rainier died. And Blackwall lived.
I need to know the details of what you did. Who you killed, why.
I betrayed the Empire and assassinated a general, all for gold. The man was General Vincent Callier. My employer was a Chevalier, Robert Chapuis. Sir Robert believed that Grand Duke Gaspard was the rightful ruler of Orlais and would eventually take the throne. He thought that by eliminating one of Celine's loyal supporters, he might endear himself to the true Emperor. I can't say if Robert's plan would have worked. I didn't care. There was good coin offered, and I took it. By the time Sir Robert's involvement was uncovered, I was long gone. Of course, the Grand Duke disavowed any knowledge of the act and publicly condemned it. Robert killed himself. Poison in his wine. Another victim of the great game.
You got your men to help you. What did you tell them?
They didn't know who they were attacking. I told them it was an important mission. They trusted me without question. Just as your men trust you.
Armies are weapons. Weapons don't wield themselves.
Weapons don't have lives, families, dreams. An army is not just a weapon.
My reports say that Callier was with his family. You had them all slaughtered.
I didn't know Callier would be traveling with his family. I assumed only soldiers, armed guards. My men had been told to eliminate everyone. They'd seen war. They thought they were defending their country. No one likes to think about that. But it's names that carry power in this world. Bloodlines. Heirs. No matter how leaders like Celine or Gaspard pretend the game is played, that's how real war is waged.
But you weren't at war. Not really.
I've been on enough battlefields to know the same crime at the right time would have earned a medal. But that's what I did. And why I deserve to be here.